¿Qué onda, vatos? Thanks for tuning in to yet another video. Once again, beautiful weather out here in California. Everything else, not so good, but weather, riding weather, everything, sunset, the roads, beautiful out here in Cali. But I just wanted to share my own experience with starting out to ride, since I'm kind of on that topic. I used to live out there in Modesto for about 6 years, and that's kind of when I started riding a bike. It was off-roading. It was on a friend's ranch. He had a lot of property. Over here in the main city, it's a little difficult to own such property and not have to, follow all the rules of a big city. So I got started kind of with him. He invited me out, and I was like, yeah, sounds cool. Just telling me how fun it is riding ATVs, motorbikes, out there on the dirt. He had his dad had a whole lot of land, and they had a bunch of ATVs and a bunch of motorbikes. That's how they took care of the land, the farm and stuff like that. So I just kind of went out there, and got a taste of it, and I was hooked. Now, riding on the dirt, riding off-road is completely different from, riding a full-size bike. And I'm talking about, 1,000 cc's, or, depending on what you're getting into or getting on. It's a big difference. I believe the ATVs they had were 250 cc's, so, I mean, they're not huge in any way, but and the motorbikes, there were probably 50 or 100 cc's. Can't remember. I don't really remember the size. I wasn't asking the size of the engine or anything. I honestly didn't care. I just wanted to get on and go, and that's what ended up happening. So now I remember doing that, and I was hooked ever since I was a kid. I grew up on Terminator 2, so I do remember Terminator 1. I was just a whole lot younger. I mean, I remember part 1 slightly. I was very young, and I remember part 2. My dad took me to go see Terminator 2. Me and my brother, we both went to go see it, and man, I was hooked. As soon as you see Arnold, come out that bar, and you have that cool music, da-na-na-na-na, bad to the bone, and then he puts on his glasses. He has the shotgun, and puts them on, kicks a leg over the fat boy, and it's just badass, everything about it. And I was hooked, and I know that movie sold a bunch of bikes for a lot of middle-aged men. Not middle-aged men, but just men in their 20s and 30s. They saw Arnold on a Harley, and everybody thought it was badass. Everybody wanted to be on it, and you saw the things Arnold did on that bike. It was pretty cool too. I just seeing that movie, falling in love with Harley-Davidson, and then, I was a big X-Men fan, and Wolverine was a cruiser type. He was I believe he did have a Harley or something that looked like a Harley. I don't know if they got the rights to officially make it a Harley-Davidson, but Wolverine loved Harley-Davidsons. I was looking at this bike in Sunnyvale, and I think I was ready to kind of get into it for sure. And it was a Metro Cruiser. It was cheap. It was like $3,000. It weighed in about maybe 600 or 700 pounds. I wasn't expecting it. Kicking my leg over it and barely able to reach the floor. That's why I say, get yourself a bike that you can flat foot, you can be comfortable with, because it's gonna be tough. And then I had it in my head, I'm gonna ride this back home. My friend was with me, and he was kind of like, he saw me as soon as I got on that bike, and as soon as I tried to kind of lift it off its kickstand, that's when I realized, oh shit, this is not the same as a motorbike. that's when I realized, I was like, oh man, this ain't the same as those 150cc's that I used to ride with my buddy. No. And as soon as I tried lifting it off the kickstand, I was like, oh, uh-oh. Then I had to put my foot into it. I really had to push it over to the side just to get it off the kickstand. And I think my buddy saw it in my face. I was scared. Thinking that I was gonna ride this thing, maybe about 50 miles back home. And he saw it in my face, and I'm glad he convinced the seller to ride it back home for me on the weekend. I'm just so glad that he actually convinced me out of that stupid idea on riding the bike back home. So, a couple days later, the gentleman, he brings the bike around, and I already gave him the money at the time. I already paid the bike, so I trusted him on delivering the bike. The only thing he gave me was pretty much the pink slip. I believe he gave me the pink slip. I don't even know. All I know is I gave him the cash for it. He gave me the bike. So my friend convinced him on dropping the bike off for me because I was just so scared. So moving forward, a couple days later, thinking that I could do it, I got back on the bike, and right when I was getting back on the bike, I started shaking. And you know what? I'm not gonna lie, I was scared. I was truly scared because leaning it over and not being able to flat-foot it. I'm only 5'7", so I wasn't able to flat-foot it. I think he had it to his weight, the springs. So he was like 6'1", 6'2". He was actually European, so he was a whole lot taller than I was, and he was also heavier than I was. At the time, I weighed in probably about 160, so I was probably 20 or 25 pounds lighter than I am now. But man, I remember when I got on that bike the second time, when I had it in my head, what, it's now or never. This is the way to do it. There's no other way. I have to do it. And I rode it. I was scared shitless. I was shaking. I was super nervous. I was scared, honestly, and that's why I said, once again, flat foot the bike. Get yourself a nice small bike so you could get comfortable with. That way you're not overwhelmed by the size of the bike and by everything else. So finally, after riding it the first time, I dropped it. I dropped the bike, and that was my first time. And I remember riding the bike for the first time and just being scared and not being able to turn right or lean to the left. I mean, not being able to lean to the left. I was incapable of leaning left. I just don't know what it was. I don't know if I'm right-handed or because I'm left-handed. You guys leave your comments down below. Let me know what side you were having trouble leaning towards. But for me, leaning right was easy as a pie upside down. I could lean right all day long, but as soon as I had to turn left, that's where I was having issues. And I had experience with riding stick, so I didn't have a big issue with the clutch or anything like that. My issue was just the balancing, the turning, and just being able to comfortable flat foot the bike. That was my concerns, and that was my issues. It was that. And the good thing was I actually tuned into some YouTube videos because I had it in my head. You know what? I might just drop this bike. Let me just look ahead and see if there's any good tips for me to learn to kind of pick up my home bike. And good thing is, there was a lot of tips on YouTube. They'll show you how to pick up your bike if you're by yourself, and if it weighs 700, 600 pounds, and there's a YouTube video for it. So I dropped the bike. I didn't even think about shutting off the engine, but I shut off the engine after the fact. But yeah, that was embarrassing. I dropped the bike, and I was in front of some friends because they were kind of there just to kind of see, just to see my purchase and just to see how I was doing. I mean, my buddy of mine that I went with, he kind of told everybody, hey, look at this fucker bought a bike, and everybody was kind of like, oh shit, yeah, that's pretty cool, man. So they were there to kind of, give me some tips and, tell me not to be scared because they could see it. I was shaking and I was afraid. After that, I kind of convinced myself, you know what, I'm just going to take the class. Because, I thought, I had this thing down. I thought I had it down, and it turned out, nope. Wrong. That's why I'm I repeat myself, get yourself a low bike, something you could comfortable flat foot, because if you're kind of like me and you're getting used to the size of the bike and you can't flat foot it, you're not going to be able to learn, because you're going to be worried about dropping the bike. And eventually, after a couple miles, you get used to it. You get the feel of the bike, because every bike's different. I'm telling you, every bike's different. They all have a different clutch. They all have, not the clutch, but they have a different friction zone. They have, every bike's different. But everyone's scared. I was scared. I don't know if everyone's scared, but I was definitely scared. And I'm saying this because, my brother wants to get into riding a bike, but he's terrified. The same thing, but you just got to get on that bike. You got to get on, you got to get on, try it out. Get yourself a cheap bike, try it out. Who knows, it might be for you. If you have that itch and you're just wondering, I want to get into motorcycles, and you're wondering, if you're just wondering about riding, get yourself, don't go buying a $20,000 bike. That's why, I always say, buy it used, or buy yourself a cheap, small bike, something that you could try out. Because, who knows? After 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or maybe even after a few months, you might even grow tired of it. A lot of people, they it's just not for them sometimes. You'll get on it and it's something new, it's adrenaline, you're happy, you're feeling it, you like the feel. And then eventually, after a few months, you kind of find yourself not riding the bike anymore, and that's when you see these bikes out there for cheap, with only 1,000, 2,000 miles on them. That's why I always suggest, before you go full blown, you might have that rush of having a bike the first couple of weeks, and you're like, all right, I'm ready for this, for a street glide, or I'm ready for an R6, an R1. I'm ready for it after a couple of miles, and eventually you kind of just grow out of it, or just something comes up, something's different, and you just don't find yourself riding the bike anymore. So that's my opinion, that's my experience. You guys stay out there, stay safe. Leave your comments down below. Let me know if you guys were terrified riding your first time getting on top of a bike. Let me know what was your first bike, a sport bike or a cruiser, a street bike. Let me just say that, because I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys started on a moto style, motocross or motorbike, off-road. I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys started out there, being younger, and having your parents or whatnot. All right, you guys just stay out there, stay safe. Kind of like Mr. Sandoval says, buy the damn bike. If you guys are thinking about it, just buy the bike, man. Try it out. Give it a few months. If you still love it after 6 months, then by all means go right ahead and get yourself that badass street glide, or that cool BMW, or whatever you're into. Just get out there and get it and enjoy it, and have fun. So thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching the video, and thank you for hitting that like, and thank you for subscribing. You guys stay out there, stay safe. Later.